Hello, dear listeners. This is your favorite storyteller and hopeless romantic, Gwen Fairfax. You are welcome to my creative heaven where I bring you the best of my imagination, take your mind away from the troubles of the world, and tame your heart with fiction, romance, and drama. This is your first time stopping on this safe space, you are most welcome. I promise that you will love it here. But if you are an oldie but goodie, thank you for your continuous support and love. You are loved and appreciated. Please like, subscribe, and leave your thoughts in the comments. Buckle your seatbelts as we take a ride on another amazing episode of your favorite story, Unappreciated Treasure. Enjoy.
Chelsea and Hank had finally sorted out their differences. Hank apologized for being a coward. Chelsea was happy that her husband had finally come back to her. They both laid down on the hospital bed and snuggled themselves to sleep. It was already evening and Hank was still sleeping. Chelsea was already awake. She was staring at Hank so much that she thought if she blinked, he would disappear. She caressed his hair as he slept. He looked so peaceful. Suddenly, he fluttered his eyes open. "Hey, hubby. You are finally awake." Hank gave a genuine smile and buried his face in Chelsea's chest. He had not smiled that widely in 2 days. "Hey, beautiful. You are already awake." He spoke in a hoarse voice as he raised his head and kissed her on the lips. "I have missed this and I have missed you. How do you feel at the moment?" Chelsea smiled and replied, "I am fine now that you are here." Her eyes were still looking very weak. She looked as if she had lost so many pounds in those 2 days. Her voice was still raspy and low. "I am so hungry. Can I please have something to eat?" Hank rose from his lying position. "Okay, baby. I will ask Nathan to prepare us something nice." Chelsea smiled. "Thank you, Pookie Bear." Hank gave a little throaty chuckle. "Do you know that it's been a long time since you called me your Pookie Bear?" Chelsea had a smile on her face. "It's because I have a better name that I call you. Hubby." Hank just couldn't help but admire the beautiful creature in front of him. "Baby, I am the luckiest man on earth to be called your husband. Thank you for choosing me." As they were talking, Chelsea's stomach suddenly grumbled. "Now, let me get you something to eat," Hank said as he rose from the bed to call Nathan. About an hour later, Nathan came with a variety of soups and light foods that Chelsea could eat. Since she had not eaten in days, her stomach could not hold anything too greasy or heavy. So she started with the vegetable soup, which tasted heavenly. After eating till her stomach could not take in anymore, she dropped her cutlery. "I think my stomach can't take in food anymore." Hank ruffled her hair. "I can see you have gained your strength back. The weather is quite beautiful this evening. Come, let's take a walk in the garden downstairs." Chelsea smiled as she couldn't wait. Since it was already the end of winter, the weather was not cold. It just had a fresh atmosphere and fresh breeze. Chelsea and Hank walked through the lawns and just enjoyed the fresh view. "So Hank, tell me, are you the one who constructed this hospital, or was it your father? Tell me the story behind this Mount Olives hospital." Hank took Chelsea's hand into his as they strolled. "My dear Chelsea, my late father started constructing this hospital in memory of my mom and my brother. So when he filed for bankruptcy, everything came to a standstill. I had to complete his dream. So, basically, my father is the main author, and I am the finisher." Chelsea raised her eyebrows in surprise. "You have a brother?" Chelsea asked curiously. Hank nodded. "I had a twin brother. His name was Herman." Hank took out his wallet and showed a picture of himself and his twin brother when they were about 3 years old. They were so identical. The only difference was that Hank had dark brown hair, while his twin brother Herman had pure dark hair. They looked like happy kids. "What happened to your brother?" Chelsea asked. Hank squeezed Chelsea's hand gently and let out a heavy sigh. "Well, he had congenital heart disease. My parents did everything they could to save him, but he passed away when we turned 5. He looked so much like my mother. He had her hair color and smile, while I took my father's hair color and dimples. After he passed away, my mother became a shadow of herself. When I turned 13, she passed away. Losing a child is not something I would wish for even to my worst enemy. Though I was still very young, I could still understand some things. Herman and I were so close. He was basically half of me. Hank bit his lower lip as he spoke. My parents told me that when Herman died, I was in a coma for almost a week. They were so scared that they were going to lose me too. But I finally woke up and the first thing I said was Herman was in heaven. So that is why this hospital treats every child with congenital heart disease for free. It has some of the best cardiologists in the world. This broke Chelsea's heart. This was the first time she had seen Hank express his hidden pain. I am so sorry you went through all of that, Chelsea said as she hugged Hank. I have you now, baby, Hank replied. Of course, hubby. It is you and me against the world always. We are in this together, okay? Hank nodded as he bent down and kissed Chelsea's lips. When they disengaged from the kiss, Chelsea said with a smile, well, talking about twins, I do have twins in my family as well. Who knows? You and I might end up having twins someday. Hank raised his eyebrows in surprise. Really? He exclaimed. Chelsea nodded with a smile. Yes, my mother has a twin brother, Uncle Gene. Her facial expression changed when she mentioned her mother and uncle. Hank noticed the change in her voice and countenance. Baby, are you okay? If you don't want to talk about it, it is okay. I am here. Whenever you feel comfortable, you could always tell me. Chelsea shook her head. No, hubby. I guess this is the right time I tell you about my not-so-perfect family. Hank held Chelsea's hand, and they walked back to a coffee shop inside the hospital. Hank ordered a mocha coffee, while Chelsea asked for cinnamon tea. Hank, my mother comes from a very wealthy background, or should I say one of the top 1% of elites in Monaco and Monte Carlo to be precise. When she got married to my father, they were so happy. My dad was doing well for himself. He was the best white hat hacker in the south of France. We didn't need my mom's family fortune because my dad had made a name for himself. My grandmother never approved of my parents' marriage because my dad was half British and half Caribbean. So, because of that, my brother and I were never loved by them. They labeled us not white enough. The only people who cared about us were my Uncle Gene and my grandfather. How I miss them. My other uncle, Laurent, had the same mindset as my grandmother. So, when my grandfather passed away, my mom was to be made the new CEO of my grandfather's company. She was asked to either choose between us and her father's empire. Chelsea took a deep breath as the tears she had been holding finally fell down her cheeks. My brother and I were the easiest thing for her to give up on. This traumatized my father. Hank, I saw how much my parents loved each other. I had always wanted to have a love like theirs. But I was so shocked when my mom easily gave up on us. Her love was not strong enough. She let go of the one thing that loved her the most, which was us. So my dad left everything behind, even abandoned his career in tech, and we relocated to the United Kingdom. After that, my father became a shadow of himself. The man who loved and lived life to the fullest became a walking dead. After years of drinking and smoking, my dad's liver was affected, and he passed away 6 years ago. Hank was stunned. He could not believe that his wife had gone through so much. He grew up in a home full of love. Seeing a mother giving up on her kids was not something any child should experience. He moved closer and hugged Chelsea. Baby, I am so sorry that you went through such a tough life. You have me now, okay? Chelsea buried herself in Hank's arms. This was all she needed. She had her husband beside her, who meant everything to her. Hank was now her world. She wasn't going to waste her precious tears, crying over spilled milk. This was her family now. This was her happy place. She wouldn't let her past ruin her present and future. The couple finished their evening talking about random things and just enjoying each other's company. 2 days later, Chelsea was finally discharged from the hospital. Since it was Saturday, Hank asked Chelsea to spend the day with him. They went sightseeing, bowling, and ended up at La Plaza for shopping. As they held each other's hand while walking around the mall, someone called Chelsea's name. Chelsea? When Chelsea turned, she saw Cleopatra and Erica. They looked like they had seen a ghost. They were so speechless when they saw Chelsea holding hands with the handsome Hank Fitzwilliam. Chelsea didn't let go of Hank's hand. She even used both hands to hold Hank's. She was done hiding her marriage. At least Erica and Cleopatra were her friends. It was but normal for her to just spill the beans since they had seen her together with Hank. Erica, Cleo, it's nice seeing you both. Did you come here to shop as well? Erica nodded, but Cleopatra was still in a daze. Chelsea, didn't you tell us you were married? What are you doing here, holding hands with Mr. Fitzwilliam? Isn't he Nicole's man? Hank, who had been so quiet, raised his eyebrows. Baby, who is Nicole? And why are they referring to me as her man? Cleopatra almost passed out when she heard Hank calling Chelsea baby. Chelsea, did Mr. Fitzwilliam just call you baby? Aren't you married? Holding another man's hand and being intimate is cheating. Though Cleopatra was flippant and acted crazy sometimes, she was loyal. She believed in one-man, one-woman relationships. Chelsea couldn't help but laugh out loud at her colleague's reaction. Listen, girls. I am married, and I am not cheating on my husband. She looked at Hank and smiled. Girls, meet my husband, Henry. Hubby, these are my colleagues Erica and Cleopatra. Cleopatra almost fainted with shock. What was going on? Was she in a dream? Or was it her imagination? What? Chelsea. So your husband is no other than Mr. Henry Fitzwilliam. It now makes sense. So all the expensive flowers and gestures were all done by him. Chelsea nodded. Then it means that Nicole has been lying all through. Mr. Fitzwilliam doesn't even know her. Chelsea nodded again. Cleopatra didn't know whether she should laugh or cry on Nicole's behalf. Hank extended his hand and shook the ladies. It's nice meeting you both. This is the first time I have met my wife's friends. Cleopatra couldn't believe she had actually shaken hands with the richest and most handsome billionaire in all of the United Kingdom. Wait a minute. Is this the same cold and aloof Mr. Fitzwilliam we met some time back at the kebab spot with Mr. Maximilian? Or is it a different Mr. Fitzwilliam? He is so different now, especially towards Chelsea. See how tender and gentle he is towards her. Erica thought to herself. The pleasure is ours, Mr. Fitzwilliam, Cleopatra replied. As they were talking, Hank's phone rang, and he excused himself to take the call. Chelsea. So all this while, Mr. Fitzwilliam has been the special person you have been talking about. Erica asked with happiness evident in her voice. Yes, girls. He is the one. I am sorry I didn't get to tell you guys earlier. We just wanted to keep it low-key. I don't want too much attention to myself. You usually see the hate and assault people throw at the partners of celebrities. I don't want to find myself with paparazzi following me left, right and center. Or my picture being posted in almost all tabloids as Mrs. Fitzwilliam. Well, Chelsea, it doesn't matter if you want to publicize your marriage or not. We are just so happy for you, Cleopatra chimed in. Anyway, Erica and I were about to step into one of the restaurants around to grab a bite. As they were still talking, Hank walked back and overheard Cleopatra talking about grabbing a bite. He walked over and held Chelsea by the waist. Baby, I have an important meeting to catch up with at Maison H. I think you should be hungry by now. Why don't you invite your friends along? I will be in a different room having a meeting with some of my partners, while you and your friends here can catch up. Did Cleopatra just hear Maison H? Or were her ears playing the game of trick or treats with her? She had only heard of Maison H, but had never for once ever dreamed that she would dine there someday. Mr. Fitzwilliam, please, did I hear you correctly? Did you say Maison H? Like the one and only Maison H on the eastern side of town? She asked unbelievably. Hank nodded. He saw that Chelsea's friends were so dramatic. He had to put up with their attitude for his wife's sake. He would never have spoken to them if not for Chelsea. He turned and snapped his fingers and immediately, Gina appeared. Yes, Mr. Fitzwilliam. Gina, organize a ride for these two ladies to Maison H. He then turned to Chelsea and took her hand. "My treasure. Let's go." Chelsea smiled as he escorted her into their luxurious Rolls-Royce. The car that had picked up Erica and Cleopatra was also a luxurious car. When they got to Maison H, Chelsea and her friends were in a room full of all sorts of delicacies. Hank had purposefully asked for Chelsea and her friends to be treated with the utmost respect. "Girl, tap me if I am dreaming," Erica said. "In my wildest imaginations, I wouldn't have thought of ever having the opportunity of coming to a place like this. Even if my generation's wealth were combined, I am sure they wouldn't even let me in the lobby," Cleopatra chimed in. Chelsea could not help but laugh at how dramatic her friends were. "Okay, guys, let's eat as much as we can, okay?" Before she could finish her statement, Erica and Cleopatra were already devouring the meal like hungry lionesses. Chelsea just shook her head and joined them. After eating for what looked like an eternity, Cleopatra pulsed and relaxed on her seat. "Girls, I don't think my stomach can take any of these in anymore. There is still a lot of food left, and I can't just watch it go to waste like that." Chelsea smiled at her friend and replied, "Cleo, you don't have to force yourself to eat everything, okay? If you want, you could ask for the servers to pack it up for you to take home." Cleopatra's eyes bulged out. "Really?" Chelsea nodded and then pressed a button which was on the table. In less than a few seconds, a server walked in. "Yes, Mrs. Fitzwilliam." Chelsea smiled and said, "Please, can you pack up the remaining meal in to-go bags?" The server was stunned. No one had ever asked for the remains of their meals to be packed up. "Did you hear what I said?" Chelsea repeated. The server came back to her senses and replied, "Yes, Mrs. Fitzwilliam. We'll do that right away." Cleopatra looked at Chelsea with adoring eyes. "Thank you, Chelsea. I saw how the server looked at you with surprised eyes. You were embarrassed because of us." Chelsea raised her eyebrows and asked, "Why should I be embarrassed? The food has been paid for. So why waste it when you could still eat later? So don't worry about that." As they were talking, Cleopatra's stomach grumbled. She had eaten too much and was suffering from indigestion. She had to use the bathroom as soon as possible. "Girls, you will have to excuse me. I need to use the bathroom like right now." She rushed out of the private dining room at the speed of light. She didn't even pay attention to the bathroom she had entered. After easing herself and feeling good, she walked out of the cubicle to wash her hands. As she finished washing her hands and was drying them, a man walked closer and washed his hands too. Cleopatra was furious and screamed at the man, "Hey, you punk. What are you doing in the women's bathroom? You are such a creep. You had better walk out before I call security on you." The handsome man was speechless. He raised his eyebrows as he looked at Cleopatra as if she had gone off her rockers. "Young lady, I think before you start raining insults on me, maybe you should check where you are." Cleopatra creased her brows. "Hey, what are you talking about?" Before she could continue, the man pointed at the urinals that were lined up at the corner. Cleopatra was mortified. In her desperate state, she didn't even realize that she had entered the male restroom. Her face was as red as a boiled lobster. She gave an embarrassing smile. "Cat, cut your tongue?" the man asked. Before she could respond, the door was suddenly opened. Cleopatra walked forward and clung to the man like a koala and kissed him passionately. "Oh, baby, we don't have to do it here. Why don't we take it home?" The person who had walked in was so disgusted at what he saw. "You are both so embarrassing. This is a public bathroom, for crying out loud." The man shut the door and left. Cleopatra let go of the stranger. "I am so sorry for doing that. But you taste good though." She gave a wink and tried to rush out of the bathroom. The man held her hand. "Hey, you little Miss Sticky. You can't kiss me and just run out like that. You have to take responsibility." Cleopatra didn't know what she could do. All she wanted to do was leave that place as soon as possible. Unaware, Cleopatra leaned forward and kissed the man again. His hand finally let go of Cleopatra's hand, and she seized this opportunity to run out through the door. The man she had kissed stood there, looking stunned. He couldn't believe he had been kissed by a crazy stranger. Not once, but twice. All he could do was laugh out loud. In another room, Hank, Daniel, and another man were sitting at a table and discussing business. Suddenly, Jeremy entered the room while laughing. "Hey you, why are you laughing so hard? And why is there a smudged lipstick at the corner of your mouth?" Daniel asked. Jeremy could not help but laugh out. "Guys, you wouldn't believe what just happened. I just encountered the most interesting and at the same time most annoying human being." He went ahead to explain everything that had happened in the restroom and how an uncultured girl had pounced on him in the male's restroom like a dog on heat. Daniel and Hank couldn't help but laugh out loud. Oh, my God. Did the virgin boy just have his very first kiss? Daniel blurted out. Hank raised his eyebrows and just smirked. That is what happens when you don't have a woman in your life. Jeremy was speechless. Hey, you punk. Just because you are now married doesn't mean you can lecture us single people on how to have partners. Daniel, am I correct? Daniel turned to Jeremy. Bro, don't pull me into your web. I have a woman of my own. You are the only single Pringle here. Hank is right. It is time for you to get a girlfriend. Jeremy was mortified. Instead, for his friends to sympathize with him, they were putting him on a hot seat. This was unbelievable. Meanwhile, as Cleopatra returned to their private dining room, her face was flushed red. Girl, why is your face so flushed? Is everything okay? Erica asked. Cleopatra bit her lower lip and replied, Please, Erica, don't ask. I feel like burying myself in a faraway land where no one can ever find me. Chelsea and Erica couldn't help but laugh. Okay. We wouldn't ask, both girls said simultaneously. They finished their meals, and everyone returned to their homes. Was Jeremy's and Cleopatra's encounter a mere coincidence? Or was it fate working out for them? Back at Jeremy's hotel room, he couldn't help but smile at the day's events. But who was that girl? And why was she so shameless? Jeremy thought to himself with a smile tugged at the corners of his lips. I hope I never get to meet such a crazy woman again, he mumbled to himself. Little did Jeremy know that fate had its way of playing with the lives of everyone. Meanwhile, Chelsea and Hank were snuggled up in each other's arms. They had been intimate with each other all through the night. Both Chelsea and Hank had been on cloud nine all night, as they couldn't get enough of each other. Like they always say, makeup sex is usually the best. Chelsea was tired and still sleeping. When she finally fluttered her eyes open, Hank was not beside her. She looked at the clock on the wall, and it showed 11 in the morning. Jeez, how could I have slept in and woke up so late? I still feel so tired, Chelsea muttered under her breath. Was Chelsea still sick? Or was it something else? Then she remembered what they had done all night and smiled sheepishly. Chelsea went into the bathroom and took a shower. The shower was quite warm and relaxing, and she felt much better. When she came out of the bathroom and checked her phone, she saw almost 40 missed calls from Rachel. What was going on? Rachel had never left so many missed calls before. Was she in some kind of danger? Chelsea's heart leaped in fear. She quickly dialed Rachel's number, but her phone had been switched off. Chelsea was scared and worried at the same time. She suddenly heard the voice of a woman screaming at the top of her lungs in the living room. What is going on? Chelsea mumbled to herself. She quickly put on her clothes and rushed to the living room with her hair still damp. When she got there, she saw Rachel screaming and shouting at Hank. Hey, you jerk. Where is Chelsea? What have you done to her? If anything happens to my best friend, I will make sure I feed your balls to the crows. Hank just stood there, looking at the beautiful little woman threatening him with all sorts of insults. Was this woman under some narcotic influence? Or was she high on some expired weed? How was Chelsea friends with this female version of Conan the Barbarian? Hank thought to himself. Rachel looked and sounded like she was going to set the whole building ablaze if Chelsea was not brought out. Hank found it so funny, because this was the first time anyone had ever spoken to him in that manner and tone. And what is so funny, you punk? If you don't bring Chelsea out in the next 2 minutes, I will make sure I bring down this entire building. A calm and lovely voice came from the corner. Rach? Is this really you? Chelsea was so happy and shocked at the same time to see her best friend. When Rachel saw Chelsea, she rushed to her side with a worried expression. "Sis, are you okay? What happened to your phone? I have called so many times, but you didn't answer. See how pale you look. What did that asshole do to you?" Chelsea smiled and hugged her best friend. "Come on, Rach. I am fine. I have missed you so much." Hank stood there like a planted cactus and just watched them. "Chels, I have come to take you back home. You can't keep living here. See how unwell and malnourished you look." When Hank heard this, his relaxed expression suddenly changed to a cold one. "Excuse me, young lady. You can't just walk into my house and start screaming like a mad dog. Don't you ever mention taking my wife away," Hank said coldly. The vibrating Rachel, who had been screaming before like a raging tsunami, suddenly calmed down. Chelsea had to intervene. She knew that sound and tone. If she didn't do something now, Hank will definitely go ballistic and might even destroy the Hannigan global empire. She walked towards Hank and held his hand. "Calm down, honey. I don't think I have introduced you both. Rach, meet my husband, Hank. Hubby, this is my best friend, Rachel Hannigan. Please let us all calm down." She turned to Rachel. "Rach, you can see I am fine. It was all a big misunderstanding. I am so sorry. It's my fault that you both are at each other's necks." When Chelsea said those words, the two raging humans beside her calmed down. They both stopped their verbal war, but their eyes were spitting fire and brimstones at each other. It seemed as if Chelsea's sad face was all it took for the two of them to shut up. "Come on, Chels. Please, you don't have to be sad, okay? I took a 4 a.m. flight just to come see if you were okay. I was so worried, knowing fully well that you were here all alone, crying and needed me here with you." When Hank heard what Rachel said, he felt so ashamed of himself. He knew that Chelsea wouldn't have needed anyone else if he was by her side to comfort and console her. Instead, he was the cause of her pain and the reason why his wife called Rachel to pour her heart out. This shattered Hank's heart. He deserved every insult Rachel had rained on him. These were some of the thoughts running through Hank's mind. Flashback to 2 days prior, Rachel had been so worried. She didn't know how her friend was faring. She had to see her as early as possible, and the earliest flight she could take was the 4 a.m. flight leaving Wolverton to London Heathrow. She got to London on Sunday morning and started ringing Chelsea's phone nonstop. Hank had actually placed Chelsea's phone on silence mode, so as not to disturb his wife's sleep. After trying so many times to reach Chelsea to no avail, she dialed Daniel's number. The first day that Daniel and Rachel met in front of Chelsea's apartment, they both exchanged numbers. When Daniel saw Rachel's call, he picked up the call almost immediately. "Hello, Miss Hannigan. You thought of me today." Rachel was not in for pleasantries. "Mr. Maximilian, where is that jerk brother of yours?" Daniel, who had been drinking his morning coffee, almost choked. And what did he do this time around?" Rachel wasn't there to answer questions, but to ask them. "Mr. Maximilian, can I please have the address to Chelsea's house?" Daniel couldn't help but wonder what this woman would do to Hank once she got to Hank's penthouse. Daniel gave Rachel the address, and she immediately ended the call. Immediately Rachel dropped the call. Daniel dialed Hank's number. Hank picked up almost immediately. "Daniel, don't you have things to do this morning? Why call me so early?" Daniel scoffed. "Listen, man, there is a raging tsunami on the way to your house right now. If you know what is good for you, you had better be ready." Hank wasn't in the mood for Daniel's drama. "Listen, Daniel, if you don't have anything important to say, just drop the call." Before Hank could end the call, Daniel shouted, "Wait, Hank. Your wife's best friend just called me, and she is going to your penthouse as we speak. You had better be ready for her rage. I wouldn't want to be in the same room with such an angry bird. All the best, bro." Daniel ended the call. He didn't want to be in Rachel's black book. Hank messed up, so he should bear his consequences. Daniel murmured to himself. At least, Hank deserved to be scolded by someone from Chelsea's side. When Rachel got into the building, she was stopped by the security guard. Ma'am, what is your name and who are you looking for? Rachel cleared her throat. Hello. My name is Rachel Hannigan, and I am here to see my best friend Chelsea Powers. The security guard looked at his iPad and responded, Sorry, ma'am. There is no one here with the name Chelsea Powers. Rachel tried again. What about Chelsea Fitzwilliam? The security guard nodded as he replied, Yes, we do have Chelsea Fitzwilliam here. But I will have to inform them first. Okay, go ahead, Rachel replied. The security guard dialed Hank's home number. When Hank picked up the call, the security guard spoke nervously. Mr. Fitzwilliam, I am so sorry to call you at this time, but there is a certain Miss Rachel Hannigan here who would like to see Mrs. Fitzwilliam. With his cold voice, Hank replied, You can send her over. When the call ended, the security guard who had been holding his breath for Hank's response suddenly breathed out. He directed Rachel to the penthouse. Miss Hannigan, please follow me. He took Rachel to the gold elevator, which headed only to Hank's penthouse. He used a gold card to open the elevator. Miss Hannigan, this elevator will take you to the penthouse. Rachel nodded and thanked him. As the elevator took Rachel to the last floor, she walked out and went straight to the main entrance. She knocked on the door, and after a few seconds, Hank opened the door. Hank had changed into a white t-shirt and gray jogging trousers. Who are you and what can I do for you? Rachel didn't wait for him to ask her to get in. She walked past Hank and went straight to the living room. Mr. Fitzwilliam, where is Chelsea? Where is my best friend? Daniel was right. This Chelsea's best friend was really a tigress. Hank thought to himself. He really saw the little woman raining insults on him and just let out a little throaty chuckle. Thanks to Chelsea's arrival, the little tigress was a little tamed. Hank took a deep breath and his cold demeanor slowly disappeared. Miss Hannigan, I understand that there has been a misunderstanding between us. I take full responsibility for what happened to Chelsea, and I am ready to do anything to make up for that. But one thing I will not tolerate is you walking into our home and threatening to take my wife away. Rachel, who had calmed down, finally spoke up. Mr. Fitzwilliam, I am sorry for barging into your home and raining all those demeaning insults on you. I was just worried about my best friend. Deep inside, Rachel was not sorry. She just wanted to please Chelsea and not make a fuss. Since Hank was Chelsea's husband, she would try to tolerate him in order to make Chelsea happy. If she had her way, she would have kicked Hank in the groin. What a blockhead, Rachel thought to herself. Hank could see through Rachel's pretense. He knew he would have to pretend to let things die a natural death. He walked over to Chelsea. Baby, you should be hungry now. I made us some breakfast. Chelsea smiled as she thanked him. She left Hank's hand and walked over to Rachel. Baby girl, come, let's have breakfast together. Before she could take a step, she staggered and almost fell on the floor. But thanks to Hank's swiftness, he quickly caught her before she could hit the ground. With a worried voice, Hank asked, Baby, are you okay? Rachel rushed to the dining table and took some water. She gave Chelsea and asked her to drink some. Hey guys, I am fine. I was just a little lightheaded. But I am fine now. I guess it's because I haven't eaten yet. Hank let out a sigh of relief. Okay, love. Let's go eat, okay? Chelsea nodded and turned to Rachel. Rach, I am sure you are so tired and hungry as well. Come on, let's eat together. The two girls walked over to the dining table, and there was enough to eat. Hank had made a complete English breakfast with some croissants and bagels he had asked Gina to buy from a bakery down the street. So there was more than enough food for all of them. After they were done eating, Rachel stood up. Chels, I have to go back to my hotel room and rest. I have an early morning flight to catch back to Wolverton. Now that I see you are fine, I can head back. My trip here wasn't planned, so I have to be at the office tomorrow by 2 p.m. I have a meeting with some of our foreign investors by 3 p.m. Chelsea looked at her best friend with guilt in her eyes. Rach, I am so sorry for making you this worried. I know you are the general manager at your company, and you have a lot of work to do. But you still sacrificed to come see me. Rachel held Chelsea's hand and gave a smile. Chels, I know that if the cards were flipped and I was in a distressed mood, you would come running. I am just happy that you and your husband are fine now. So my heart is at peace." Chelsea was so overwhelmed. Her best friend had to go to and from Wolverton in a day just to ensure that she was fine. She really had the best people in her life. "Rach, you can't come to London and live in a hotel. You will spend the night here. We have about 3 guest rooms here. So you will sleep here, and I will drop you off at the airport very early in the morning. We are not debating about this." Chelsea turned and looked at her husband to seek for his approval. Hank just nodded with a smile. Rachel just smiled because Chelsea had used her own lines against her. "Okay, ma'am. Your wish is my command." Hank's perspective of Rachel had changed. He saw that Rachel was really a great friend to Chelsea. Only those who loved her would do something like that. Rachel was resting, while Chelsea was in the kitchen making dinner. Hank was in his study going through some documents. Suddenly, Hank's phone rang. It showed that he had been expecting this call. He immediately picked up the phone and said, "Speak." The person at the other end of the line spoke. "Boss, the person who had harassed your wife was no other than Randy Barclays. He had disguised himself under the name Travis Bennett and found his way to your wife's apartment and Daniel's company. I have sent you the details to your email." Hank's facial expression was so cold and deadly. The pen he was holding snapped in halves as he clenched it so tight. The man on the phone continued. "As for the other task that you asked me to do, I will complete it by tomorrow and bring you the details." Hank interrupted. "No, you don't have to bring it over to my office. I will ask Gina to pick it up. Remember to be very discreet about this." "Am I understood?" The person on the line replied. "Yes, boss," and the call ended. Hank had an evil smile on his face. He picked up his phone and dialed Daniel's number. After 2 rings, Daniel answered. "Hey H, what's up, man?" Hank went straight to the point. "Meet me at my office in the next hour. Make sure you come along with Bond." Bond was a computer which contained every detail about Maximilian Holdings. Only Daniel and Hank had access to it. If it fell in the hands of the wrong people, they could use it to bring down not only Maximilian Holdings, but also part of the Fitzwilliam Group. It was kept in a safe where only Daniel and Hank knew of its whereabouts. Daniel was worried. He knew that if Hank requested for Bond, it meant they were in trouble. "H, what is going on? We haven't touched Bond in almost 4 years. Are we in danger?" Daniel asked worriedly. "No, Daniel. We might be if we don't act fast. We have to change all the codes as soon as possible. You know what? Call Jeremy to join us. He hasn't left for Liverpool yet." Although Jeremy was a big business executive in Liverpool, he could be considered a computer wizard. He could fix and hack any computer and database if he chose to. Hank definitely knew the right people to keep by his side. Himself, Daniel, and Jeremy had been close since elementary school. Jeremy had always been loyal, and Hank had also saved Jeremy in so many ways that one couldn't count. Hank left his study and went into the kitchen to meet Chelsea. "Hey honey, are you done with your work?" "Don't worry, I am almost done with dinner. Give me 15 minutes more, okay?" Hank pulled Chelsea into his arms and kissed her forehead. "Baby, I won't be having dinner with you tonight. Something important has come up, and I need to get to the office and sort it out as soon as possible." Chelsea raised her eyebrows. "But honey, today is Sunday. Can't it wait till tomorrow morning? The time is almost 7 p.m. Hank nodded. "Yes, baby. I know. This can't wait. I will be in the office with Daniel and Jeremy. We have something important to fix. At least your best friend is here. You can both use this time to bond with each other. Don't wait up for me, okay?" Chelsea pouted as she said with a disappointed expression, "But I made all these meals with lots of love." Hank smiled. "I know, baby. But don't worry. I could still eat when I get back." Chelsea looked up at Hank. "I understand that you have to go, so I won't be a clingy wife. Just be careful, okay?" Hank nodded and kissed her on the lips. "I will see you when I get back." Hank grabbed his suitcase and left the penthouse. Will Hank and his friends be able to fix whatever it is that made him leave for the office? To know what happens next on the story, keep listening to your favorite series, Unappreciated Treasure, as a new episode will be coming soon. Thank you for listening, and toodles.